You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So, this strange thing happens in the entertainment industry that's different than all other industries in that they pretty much shut down for the week between Christmas and New Year's. Very few comics come out. You'll notice that when we do in stores this week and Minute to Skim It, but it's better than it used to be. But the entertainment news just kind of stops. Everything just kind of slows down to next to nothing. You know, you go on sites like Deadline, and you see maybe like 3 news stories, and then everything that came out yesterday or the day before. But sites like this and Deadline and stuff like that, they don't stop. We still do shows. We still do stuff like that. So that's why you end up with like the best of 2022, because that's all we got for weeks like this. But today is different. Today we're going to talk about the latest episode of Willow, and we're going to talk about Glass Onion. So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is December 27th, Tuesday. We are kind of still reeling from the holidays. I don't know about you guys, but it was quite a weekend. I hope you guys got some good gifts, whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, Hanukkah. I hope you got some good stuff. I got a set of wooden crochet hooks. I don't remember becoming the guy who crochets. It just kind of happened this year. Last year I got a lot of D&D stuff. Now I'm getting crochet stuff. Maybe next year I'll get a bunch of Warhammer stuff. It'll be interesting. All right, so not a lot of news to cover. Like I said, there really hasn't been a lot of entertainment news because everybody's shut down. You know, you go to these sites and they're going to be telling you, hey, the best of this, look ahead to 2023, stuff like that. I mean, one of the top stories on the entertainment sites is that J.J. Watts has decided to retire after 12 seasons in the NFL. That's it's a big story, but it's a big story for ESPN, not for Deadline. You know, so instead you're getting stories like about Puss in Boots and Emily in Paris and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, so it's a pretty quiet week this week. So we're going to be doing today's show about, like I said, Glass Onion. Is there D&D crochet stuff? That's a good question, Jeff. Now suddenly I want to try to make a blanket that's red with the big black ampersand with the dragon ampersand. That would be cool. I got a t-shirt like that. That would be an awesome looking blanket though. Huh. Damn. Now I got to count stitches. Just making my life difficult here, Jeff. By the way, hello, Jeff. Hello, Kenneth. Hello, Cool. And hello, Michael from the future. Good to see you guys. carved dragon knitting needles would be awesome. Like I said, these are pretty intricate. I don't know if you can see them very well, but that's a pretty good knitting needle. I mean, compared to what we normally use, there's a definite change in ornate. And what's funny is this one is heavier than this one. Let's see. That's probably the what. They are pretty swanky. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. The Watt brothers have a production company. They make a lot of the obscure sports programming. There's another guy, the former center for the Carolina Panthers, is a movie producer now. And another former lineman, Matt Willig, is an actor, and he was on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as one of the big bad guys for a season. So, yeah, football guys crossing into the entertainment isn't that, bizarre. You have Rosie Greer, who acted a lot. You had Fred Dreyer, who starred in Hunter for a lot of years. So, and I'm sure there's plenty more. Deion Sanders, Michael Irving, just Terry Bradshaw has been in some movies. Alex Karras on Webster. Yeah, and also as Mongo in Blazing Saddles. Dick Butkus did some stuff. Yeah. Brett Favre in Something About Mary. Yeah, you actually get a lot of football crossover into entertainment. But I don't think J.J. Watt's done any acting yet, but he's about to be freed up, so we shall see. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the latest episode of Willow. I'm a little... OJ. Oh, yeah, you're right. OJ. Forgot about that. Yeah. All the Naked Gun movies, the commercials, the Hertz commercials. When I was 5, my mother had to go pick up somebody from the airport, and I went with her. And we went to LAX, and we went in and to pick up this person. And as we were leaving, my mother noticed that they were filming a Hertz commercial in LAX with O.J. Simpson. And my mother told me, hey, yell out, hey, O.J. I'm a little 5-year-old kid. I mean, okay, I was tall for a 5-year-old. I was about as tall as Jay is now. But I was 5. Jay is probably at his computer fuming right now. And so I yelled out, hey, OJ. And I yelled it out while they were shooting. Well, the director cut because I ruined the take. And, he was like, oh, wow, everybody needs to be quiet. And OJ just looks over and goes, hush, man, it's a kid. And he comes walking over and kneels and kind of gets down low and starts talking to me and spent just a couple minutes talking to me, but what are you doing here at the airport? How you doing? You having a good time? And it was just I remember it because it was kind of a big deal, but yeah. So he was super nice. I had no indication that he might commit murder or anything in the future, allegedly. So. Oh, yeah. What was the movie? Was it Saturn V? No. What was the movie about faking the moon landing? I remember seeing that when it came out. It's possible I was 4 foot tall at 5. All right, was it Saturn V? Now you got me questioning it.
Looks like Capricorn 1.
Capricorn
Jeff,
1, yes.
Yeah, Jeff put it down there. Okay.
That's yes, Capricorn 1. I do remember seeing that, and I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. Yeah, faking the space landing or the moon landing. So nowadays, people call that some people would call that a documentary. So, all right, totally off subject now. But so yeah, I met OJ when I was 5. I've met a lot of strange people in my life. OJ, Jack Kirby, Gene Simmons, and always in just strange ways, you know. So let's talk about Willow. Willow, I want to like this series a lot. I really do, and there is some elements that I like a lot, if that makes sense. Most of the cast I like. I think we've developed some interesting characters. With Graydon, I think has become a pretty interesting character, which I thought he was going to be horrible in the beginning, and now he's, I think one of the most interesting. Though he shouldn't have shaved, if you've seen it. Alora is mostly an interesting character. Jade is definitely interesting. Erin Kellyman, of course, is just everything we see her in. I think she's great. Borman is just wonderful. I really like him. I like Willow. Kit still hasn't grown on me yet. She's more annoying than interesting so far. But they keep having these episodes that basically nothing happens. Or we get like one fight scene, but they're supposed to be going to this place, but they're going at the slowest pace possible. It's like trying to drive across country, but wanting to stop at every little roadside attraction. We got to get to Florida from LA quickly, but we need to stop and see the world's largest ball of twine. That feels like what they're doing. Is we've stopped at every world's largest bowl of twine, every haunted house, every ghost town, every rock on the side of a hill that you can find on the side of the road. And that's what the series has been, is that we're 7 episodes in? Which was the most recent one? 6. Oh, no, 5. Okay. We're 5 episodes in. It feels even longer. So we're 5 episodes in, and it just feels like we're just kind of running in place. We found out Alora was Alora at the end of episode 1, and we've just been on the road ever since. They haven't gotten anywhere. They haven't done anything. We had to go to this castle and save somebody. Oh, we just ran into a bunch of bone reavers, and we're going to hang out with the bone reavers now. And it's just moving very slowly. Jay says the world's largest bowl of twine is in Minnesota. You never stop there going California to Florida. Okay, you're right. Which is an exact point of what I'm making about the show. You wouldn't go to Minnesota if you were trying to go to Florida from California. This show is. They're taking those huge detours for no apparent reason. So I did think it was interesting that they brought Kevin Pollak back, who played one of the brownies in the original movie. He popped up, but it was such a odd way to bring him back in that he just happened to be where they were, and It's like they only brought back one of them. It's like, why didn't you bring back Rick Overton? Is he that busy that he couldn't have popped up for a visit or for an appearance? It just seemed kind of weird. And I know we're supposed to get Christian Slater in the series at some point, but we're episode 5. We've only got 3 episodes left, and we haven't seen him yet. That seems kind of weird to me, you know? But yeah, this is just chugging along so slow. And I don't get it. You know, I don't understand why we're not moving faster. We do meet Jade's supposed sister, Scorpia, and they did an amazing job finding an actress that looks similar to Jade. That you go, oh yeah, I totally get that. So from that point of view, I think they did great. But it just seemed like another kind of wasted episode. You know, it's like, shouldn't we be getting to Eric? I mean, because there's every episode they talk about how important it is they get to him before it's too late. And then they hang out and have a party with the Bone Reavers. Or, yeah, I mean, it just... I feel like they could have done this entire series in a movie. There's been nothing that has been so important and development-wise that it couldn't have been. This all couldn't have been condensed down to about 2 hours right now. So I'm hoping that the last 3 episodes there's going to be some amazing stuff. We're just going to roll, boom, boom, boom. But as excited as I was going into the series, it is just completely dragging. And I find myself kind of watching the show in the background. Hello, Joe. So yeah, I don't know what it is. Is anybody else still watching Willow? Is keeping up with it? You know, or are you guys waiting to binge watch it, or is it just didn't get your attention? Because I'm kind of curious to see if I'm the only one who thinks that it's dragging on, that we've had a couple episodes in a row where it's like one important thing happens in it and the rest is just kind of filler, you know, the subplots and stuff. It's like, oh, why do we care what's going on with this character or that character or whatnot, you know? I do like Borman's narratives. Jeff says he's only 2 episodes behind. And Werpin says he hasn't turned on Disney Plus since She-Hulk. So you haven't watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special? That was awesome, Werpin. That was that's definitely worth watching and sets up some important stuff going forward. He hasn't done any goat turning yet. Actually, Willow didn't turn the old lady. Oh, no, he did. That's right. He's better at magic now than he was. Oh, no, I've moved out of focus range. There we go. I don't know about the imperfects. I've watched 1 episode of National Treasure, planning on watching another to see if it's, you know, it's a little slow as well, but it could be interesting. I just got to give it another episode to see. But no, I really liked the first episode of Willow. It had that humor. It had the excitement and stuff of the first. And I thought the first 2 episodes were really good. And then we just kind of go at a snail's pace now. So, but it does, like, it's a really weird analogy, but it's kind of like golf. If you're not a professional golf player, or you don't have a great handicap, then golf comes down to one thing. That usually when you're out playing golf, you have one drive or one hole that is amazing. That it's like, oh, I've just nailed that one, or yeah, I chipped that in for an eagle or a birdie, or I saved par here. You have that one moment every time you go out and play golf that inspires you to keep going. That gives you that little bit of hope that the next time you go out is going to be even better. That you are improving. And I think, it's kind of that way for everybody. You have that one moment. I don't know of many people who go out and have just a completely miserable golf day. They could have like 17 crap holes, but they'll have that one hole that gives them hope that they're going to get better. That's Willow right now. Every episode, it gives you a bunch of filler and then one thing that you go, oh, okay, maybe we're going to get to this, or maybe we're going to get to that. And this last episode was exactly that way. We find out a little bit more about Jade. We get a little honesty among the characters, a little more about Borman. And I love the way his narrative works is that normally the story he's telling is contradicted by the flashbacks. So he's telling you about how he fights his way out of a prison, and you see him hiding in a bucket full of manure or of waste. And, I was held captive by these people, and you see him at a bar. And I love that. And I think Borman, I would watch the show that follows the adventures of Borman more than when I'm, the group that we're seeing. It's like, can we just focus on him for a while? Just follow him, have him break off alone and not be slowed down by these others. But all right. But there's still 3 more episodes. I'm hoping that it really picks up and drives home on a good finale. I still want to see Val Kilmer come back as Mad Mardigan. I know that didn't happen in season 1 because of COVID. So there is a reason to hope for a second season just for that, for the return of Mad Mardigan. But it really needs to pick up to justify doing a season 2. So, all right, guys, let's take our first break. And when we come back, we will start talking about Glass Onion. Be right back.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
everybody. Welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We are going to be talking about Glass Onion, which premiered on Netflix on the 23rd. So it's been out there a few days now. So I hope you guys have had a chance to watch it. Coming up after the show will be, I will still be here with Kyle and Jay as we do in stores this week. We got quite a few books to talk about this week. Even though it was a slow week, we still have about 9 books to talk about, including Bloodshot Unleashed #4, 007 #5, the final issue of The Roadie from Tim Seeley, the new Book of Slaughter from Boom Studios, and The Immortal Red Sonja #9. So that's just a handful of the books we'll be talking about. After that will be Minute to Skim It, where the crew from Space Cadets get their new shipment in and quickly take just a minute to scan through a book and give you their thoughts. And then after that, we have our newest show, Mint Hunter, which I insisted on calling Mind Hunter last week or so. And now when I think of Mint Hunter, I just picture a guy going to the front of the cash stand or the cash register at all the restaurants going, "Do you have any mints?" And they give him a little peppermint or a little Andes mint. Andes mints are good. So that's what I think of when I think Mint Hunter. But he's actually selling collections and stuff that he gets. And I think right now he's focused on doing some rare Dynamite books. And then after the first of the year, he'll be doing more collections and stuff. But he's a new show. You should check it out. A Country Road Comics will not be on tonight, so it ends with Mint Hunters tonight. All right, let's talk about Glass Onion. But just in case, let's see if Jay's awake, and we'll do the spoiler roll and the warning. All right. I hope you guys got a chance to watch this movie. I watched it, was it Christmas Eve? Christmas night. I watched it Christmas night, and first thing, there's a thing going around that Rian Johnson isn't happy about the name. Now, he's perfectly fine with the name Glass Onion. He doesn't like the fact that it's Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. And I got to say, I agree with him. Because it doesn't make any sense. That's a ridiculous title. The subtitle is ridiculous. Because it's not like it's Death on the Nile, a Murder on the Orient Express mystery. They just say Death on the Nile. Murder on the Orient Express, the murder of Roger Ackroyd, Evil Under the Sun. They're just titles. They don't have the subtitle. Now, but if they were going to insist on doing the subtitle, they would then say something like Death on the Nile, a Hercule Poirot murder mystery. But the fact that it actually says a Knives Out murder mystery doesn't make any sense, other than Netflix wanted to make sure everybody knows, hey, this is a sequel to Knives Out. It's like I could see them going, are you sure you can't just call it Knives Out 2? Or Knives Even Farther Out? Yeah, a Benoit Blanc mystery would be fine. But, Knives Out 2 Murder Harder or Knives Harder, or but yeah, it doesn't make sense, and Rian Johnson doesn't like that, and I'll give it to him. I think it's true. I mean, he's doing these pastiches to Agatha Christie, these homages, and then Netflix insists on putting a Knives Out mystery. It's like that doesn't make any sense, and again, like he did in the first one, the title makes sense. There's a line about knives being out, But then there's also all the knives in the big circle on that chair. So, I mean, that made perfect sense. And in this one, the glass onion is part of the plot. It's a bar that this whole group had met at originally. And then it's also the shape of this big room thing that Brahm makes. Brahm being Miles Braun, who is now Ryan Johnson has said that Miles Braun is not Elon Musk. And I don't think he is completely. I think there's a bit of Elon Musk in there. I think there's a bit of Steve Jobs in there. And I think there's a big chunk of Tom Cruise's character from, what was that movie? With Philip Seymour Hoffman and the Frog Storm. What was that movie? Anyway, somebody will pop up with that, I think. But he had that self-help guy with the long hair and wore the vests and stuff. And it's kind of a combination. And you see that even more driven home in that some of the flashbacks, you see Ed Norton's character dressed like Tom Cruise's character from that other movie. Or you see Magnolia, yes. Thank you, Jay. So you see Tom Cruise him dressed like Tom Cruise's character, even had the long hair from Magnolia. Later on, you see him dressed like Steve Jobs. So, there's a point where he has a specific car that he's built that he takes everywhere with him. And it's like, okay, he's kind of equating it to different, and he does that throughout the movie. He kind of gives backstories to his characters based off of popular people in the pop culture. So Elon Musk and different like YouTube or trendsetters and influencers, stuff like that. So I find that kind of interesting, that so you can parallel these characters a lot. And in doing that, he's kind of created a shortcut, which is great. This is not saying what he did is wrong or cheating or bad writing or anything like that. In anything, it's clever. By doing this, he allows us to get a good sense of the character without having to do just a ton of exposition and stuff, because we will attach the baggage that those people have with them to the character. And you've got to be careful when you do something like that, because right now, or when he wrote this script and it was being filmed during the pandemic, people's opinions of somebody like Elon Musk was very different at that point. There wasn't as negative of an opinion as there is right now. So you take that risk of doing that and then bringing all of that negativity that's built up since then. It would be like making a movie, a horrible analogy, but making a movie about a great father and making him look like Bill Cosby all before the whole scandal of Cosby came out, but the movie doesn't come out till after, a couple months after everything happens. You risk taking that kind of stuff. Yeah, you risk having one of your characters, by borrowing somebody's history in a sense, it's kind of like what they do with the boys. You know, the fact that Homelander is a Superman archetype, you kind of associate what you know about Superman with him. And then once that's established, then they can pull that all down and make him the character they want him to be. Or they can use that stuff as a short term and not that they don't have to build it. They put it in and then they either, use it, ignore it, tear it down, whatever. But, they could do that. Or when they brought in Soldier Boy, he's much more, in the comics, he's much more Bucky. And in the TV series, he's much more the MCU Captain America. And then they added all the stuff and did the tweaks and stuff. So what Ryan Johnson did was he took this shortcut, allowing us to fill in this backstory without having to go through a lot of explanation or exposition. Also, he showed us who these characters were and how they interacted in a very unique way in the very beginning of the movie. You get them all on a phone trying to solve this puzzle box with these really great puzzles that, and it has a chance to showcase everybody's strength. And, Leslie Odom's character solves a couple of the puzzles. That's, what was his character's name? I've got the IMDb page up and I'm not seeing him. Oh, Lionel Toussaint. Or Catherine Hahn's character of Claire. She solves some puzzles. Now, Catherine Hahn's or Kate Hudson's character of Birdie never solves any of the puzzles, but Peg, Jessica Henwick, her assistant, does. Or at one point, Yo-Yo Ma pops in and solves one of the puzzles because he's at her party. So her social skills and stuff are her strength. Dave Bautista, he doesn't, it's his mother that actually solves a couple of the puzzles. And again, that's just shows what these characters are. And then after the four of them work together to show how close they were and they get each other on the phone and solve these puzzles, that then we see Janelle Monáe's character just smashing it with a hammer to get the note out, which I thought was wonderful. Was a wonderful dichotomy to it, a juxtaposition, and also shows that even though she also got one of these boxes, she's not part of the group. And that's a huge part of the story. So he was able to do all this in just his fun little opening. He had the humor moments of Dave Bautista and his mom, of Birdie or Kate Hudson's character and Jessica Henwick's character, and the party going on. And while you had the more serious characters of Catherine Hahn's character and Leslie Odom Jr.'s characters, doing a lot of the work to solve the puzzle, but you could see all of them have their role. But when you switch over to Janelle Monáe's character, she's sitting alone in a basement and beating the crap out of the thing with a hammer. Which, again, like I said, sets the whole cast up beautifully. We get introduced to whiskey. We get everything we need is that just opening scene. It's a really well done scene. And you also get a lot of cameos. I mean, before we even get to the island, we get the Yo-Yo Ma cameo. Then we go to Benoit Blanc's house, and we see him trying to do the game Among Us on a Zoom call with Angela Lansbury, her last on-screen appearance, Stephen Sondheim, his last on-screen appearance, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Natasha Lyon. It's like a weird, eclectic group of people to put together, but they're all having to do with mysteries, I guess. I don't know how Kareem fits in there, but so you get all these cameos, and then we also find out that Hugh Grant is Benoit Blanc's lover, Paul. And so we get that cameo. So you get all these cameos before we get everybody together. And then we get another one on the dock. And this was the strangest one to me. Okay, Kareem writes Mycroft Holmes books. Great. Yeah, Happy New Year, Kenneth. So you got all that going on. And then we get them at the docks where they start meeting each other, and you see you've got this group of friends, and then you've got Benoit Blanc, who got a box as well. So somebody's here and they have a box for you. And you're like, oh, well, he got a puzzle box as well. And we see him on the dock, and everybody, is like, oh, everybody knows each other except for him. And then somebody shows up, and it acknowledges the pandemic because they're all showing up in masks, even though one has a lace mask on. And then a guy shows up with this spray thing that he shoots in people's mouths. And we don't get to know what it is, but we assume that it's an antidote. It's, a vaccine or something. And they can all take their masks off. And what he does is basically goes, okay, look, we're making this during the pandemic. We get it. We don't want to deal with the masks all over the place. We don't want the pandemic. We want to acknowledge the pandemic and the time it was made, but not have that affect our movie so much. So there's this quick scene where some guy comes along and just shoots everybody in the mouth with this spray and then leaves. Well, the guy is Ethan Hawke. And there's no reason why it's Ethan Hawke. It doesn't need to be Ethan Hawke. There's no big acting range to it. It's just Ethan Hawke. And but we do get one big clue, which is his character's name Brody? Dave Bautista's character. Oh, Duke is like, there's no pineapple in there, in it. Duke doesn't do pineapple, which doesn't come out and say Duke's allergic to pineapple, but it's another major thing. So just in the first few minutes, we get all the pieces we need. And we haven't even met Ed Norton's character, who's the big main character. So again, it's brilliant storytelling from that point of view. So, all right, let's do our other break real quick. We'll come back and talk more about Glass Onion. Be right back.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP. Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
Hello, my name is Julio Anta. I am the writer of Home from Image Comics. You can pick it up anywhere books are sold. It's a 5-issue series, and you're watching me on The Experience.
everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We are talking Glass Onion. So, yeah, can we make sure we keep the spoiler thing up just in case? And we're going to keep going because we, about 10 minutes left. And the cameos keep coming in this series, or in this thing, besides Ethan Hawke, who, it is probably a subtle setup for Moon Knight Season 2. But there's a Serena Williams cameo for, again, no apparent reason. There's a bunch of name drops in it like crazy. There's a Jared Leto name drop having to do with hard kombucha. Kombucha? Never had the stuff, but yeah. So there's a lot of name drops and stuff, and I think again it goes to this type of story and how much it's supposed to be in the zeitgeist. I thought we were talking Glass Menagerie. That's a very different story. That's a very different story. Sorry, had me mind go south there. So they have that.
Appreciate that you got that joke.
Blue roses. Yeah. I get the joke. The mystery itself, this isn't a standard murder mystery. Because in a way, we don't even know there is a murder until we already know it's solved. Or we're practically at the point of solving it before we even know there's a murder. And it's kind of an interesting twist on that. And I am doing spoilers, but I'm doing spoilers for the setup for the movie, not necessarily the reveals, because I don't want to give that away in case anybody hasn't seen it yet. But we're a big chunk into the movie before we even know there is a murder. And when we find out, Rian Johnson likes to tell us the story and then tell us the story from a different point of view. And when he does that is when we really find out what's going on. We find out that we've been lied to a lot, that things aren't anywhere what we think it is. And that's when it really gets interesting. That's the big twist stuff. But it happens about halfway through the movie. And then what happens after that, I'm going to say that I found the actual mystery of this to be somewhat predictable. But because the characters and the way the story is being told, I don't care. I'm enjoying the story being told more than I need to figure out who did it. Because I'm one of those people that usually has the solution figured out early, but mostly it's because I write stories, so I see the little things that they use later on. They go, oh, didn't you notice this? This was the clue. And I notice those things because I know, that's what I'm looking for. So it was very early on that I kind of knew who did what. But there are still enough twists in it that it's definitely well worth watching. So yeah, it's not the most brilliant of murder mysteries, but it's specifically not supposed to be. There's a moment where Blanc is explaining something and basically calls a guy an idiot, and you realize that is why the murder mystery can't be as complicated as you might want it to be. Hopefully that doesn't give away too much, but yeah. And again, there's a lot of social commentary in it, but it's all done very subtly, and it's all in a way, poking at famous people. So I don't think it's really going to get a lot of people mad at him, except for maybe the famous people he's kind of lampooning. The cast is great. There's one of my favorite things in it is Rian Johnson has this group of people that he likes to have pop up in his movies. One of them being, what's his name? He was in Looper. He was also in the third Batman movie as the cop who looks like he's
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt pops up in all of Rian Johnson's movies. In Knives Out, he's the TV announcer when Marta goes back home and talks to her mom. She's watching TV. He's the one doing the voice of the TV. In this, it's even a sillier cameo. But I'll let you find that one on your own. What's his name? Noah Segan is another guy who shows up in his movies. In Knives Out, he was Trooper Wagner, the cop who was a big Benoit Blanc fan, and was with Lieutenant Elliot and was like, no, let him finish, let him go. This is the good part. In here, he plays the almost Kato Kalin type role of Daryl, who is just another guy on the island who isn't necessarily supposed to be on the island. He's just there. And every once in a while he just walks by, or he's in a room they walk into. But it's a great character, it's a cool character, but he's very much a Kato Kalin type character. It's funny, we were talking about OJ earlier. He's a guy who's just going through some stuff and needs a place to stay. And he's just kind of walking by and he's like, I'm not even here, man, and just keeps saying, it's classic. And so Rian Johnson has all his Rian Johnsonisms in there. But when you boil it down to the actual story, it's a very entertaining story. There's a lot of humor, a lot of sly little jokes. The characters are great. It takes all of the elements of an Agatha Christie movie and treats them with respect, but also has some fun. Mixes things up a little bit, I mean, Blanc has the same problem that all major detectives have. When they don't have a case, they get bored to the point that they're almost incapable of doing anything. That's Sherlock Holmes, that's Hercule Poirot, your basic genius detectives. That's Blanc as well. So we get a little more backstory on Blanc, but this is a difference from the first movie because we see the first half of this movie through Blanc's eyes. We don't get that until the second half of Knives Out. The first half is from Marta's eyes. So here it's reversed, and there's someone else we see everything through in the second half. And again, it's a really interesting way of telling a story to flip the perspective of the person, because it's a way to be able to show things that your main character wouldn't have seen. Writers always have that moment when they sit down to write a novel to decide if they're going to be in first person or third person. And this gets you out of the problem with first person narrative, in that everything must happen to the person in a first person narrative. Someone either has to come tell them or they have to be involved, where in a third person story, you can follow other people. Well, the way Rian Johnson does it, it's a dual first person. So we spend time with this person, and then it flips, and we spend time with this other person. And again, he uses that remarkably well in the first movie. He does it again here. And I know Rian Johnson's got a lot of negativity because of what he did with Star Wars. But when you watch a movie like this, and you watch Knives Out, and you watch Looper, and stuff like that, you have to stop and ask yourself, was the problem Rian Johnson, or was the problem that Rian Johnson got hired to do a Star Wars movie? Because in a way, it's like casting John Wayne to be Genghis Khan, which they did do. There's no way John Wayne is going to pull off Genghis Khan. What you're going to end up is this bizarre amalgamation that nobody's really going to like. And that's what happened there. And it's what happened with Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson isn't the type of person to do the type of movie they wanted him to do. So he did the type of movie he wants to do with subversion of expectations and stuff like that. And in doing so, it became unpopular with the Star Wars audience. But again, I don't think that's on him as much. Well, partly because of him, he shouldn't have taken the movie. At least based on what they wanted him to do. But it's also on the people that hired him, who look at his body of work and say, yeah, this guy can do a Star Wars movie. No. Or if he can, he has to do a different type of Star Wars movie than what you expected. Maybe a smaller, more personal heist movie or something, but not a big sweeping epic like they tried to do. All right, guys. I think there's more I could talk about on Glass Onion, because I really didn't get that far past, and maybe we'll talk about it more soon, either later this week or next week. But if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend it. It's a really fun movie. I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again over the next couple of days. But I'm going to wrap it up here. Stick around. I will be right back. I'll be joined by Kyle and Jay, and we're going to do in-stores this week in just a moment. So stick around. I'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.